Hey everyone, so today we're going to take a look at this here bike. This is the Revel Rascal. Stay tuned to find out why it just might be the most versatile full suspension mountain bike I've ever tested. Let's do it. If you follow this channel or our website, well, you probably have seen a few Revel bikes or maybe even Y cycles, which was actually absorbed by Revel late last year to kind of streamline their bike range. So Revel is based in Carbondale, Colorado, just over the hill from me here in Gunnison. And really what's kind of wild about the company is, well, their rapid growth. They've only been around for about 6 years now, but have really firmly established their place in the cycling world with their titanium and carbon bikes. So back in 2023, I was able to test their updated Revel Ranger. And this year I was lucky enough to build up this Rascal this spring, and it became my go-to bike for day rides throughout the year. So what exactly is the Rascal? Well, before we get into that, I do want to take a quick moment to mention that this video is supported in part by Tailfin. Tailfin designs and engineers technical bikepacking equipment for almost any kind of adventure. Innovation and quality are at the heart of what makes them tick, and their constant strive to create better performing gear means that you can just focus on enjoying the ride. They offer a range of options for hauling your gear, whether you're taking on a big race or just escaping for an overnighter. So for more on Tailfin, make sure to click this card in the top right corner, or also follow the link in the description below. All right, so the Rascal is one of 3 full suspension bikes that Revel offers. It's really their trail bike, sitting in the middle of their lineup with the Ranger as kind of their downcountry rig and the Rail 29 as their enduro machine. Its position in the lineup certainly reflects its balanced ride quality. So the Rascal is one of those bikes that truly does most things well. Ideal for big adventures, whether it's an overnighter or a long day ride. The Rascal is a dedicated carbon 29er with 130 millimeters of rear travel and 140 millimeter fork. It features boost spacing, 73 millimeter English threaded bottom bracket, integrated headset, universal derailleur hanger, and it also has clearance for 29 by 2.6 inch tires. Last year, it received an updated pivot hardware design to increase the stiffness, reduce weight, and also make servicing easier, though I haven't actually serviced mine yet. Serviceability on bikes like this is certainly inevitable, and making it easier is, well, always welcome. So additionally, the bike also comes with this little debris guard down here to kind of keep the lower pivots clean and free of grit. Getting into the geo a bit, the Rascal features a 65.5 degree head tube angle paired with a 76 degree effective seat tube angle. So the medium size has a wheelbase of just under 1,200 millimeters, and it comes in with a 436 millimeter chainstay. So on paper, it's certainly I'd say pretty safe trail bike, but well, this is why we don't really judge a book by its cover, right? The bike actually reminds me a lot of the Reeb SST, which was actually my favorite bike I pedaled in 2023. And a quick look at Bike Insights show that, well, they share a lot of similarities, though the Reeb has a slightly longer front center. Of course, there are also the obvious steel versus carbon differences, but the noticeable length of the SST front center certainly does give it a bit more confidence at higher speeds, which we'll definitely dig into here soon. So at 5'9.5" or 176.5 centimeters, I decided to go with the medium. So based on my height, I certainly could have fit either the medium or the large. So the medium is designed to fit riders up to 5'10" or 178 centimeters, while the large is meant to fit down to 5'9" or 176 centimeters. So after spending probably a little bit too much time kind of scouring the geometry chart, I ultimately decided on the medium. So I talked about the frustration of bike sizing in my 2025 predictions video, where I really urged manufacturers to at least consider adding an extra size, maybe an extra medium size. So the average height here in America for a male is 5 feet 9.3 inches. So it only makes sense to kind of have a size kind of tailored in that range. I know other factors like ape index, inseam, and riding style certainly come into play, but at the very least, adding this size would save consumers a lot of headache. In the end, going with the medium, well, the fit was just fine. And I am confident I could have fit a large as well, and we will touch on this here soon. But the medium certainly gave the bike a more kind of XC style feel. So with the evolution of hardtails, and especially with, I guess, how much sense they actually make for bike packing, I still want to, I guess, make my case for a full suspension bike. So first and foremost, full suspension bikes offer a ride quality that hardtails simply can't replicate. Yes, they're more complex and more expensive and probably require more maintenance, but if you're okay with those trade-offs, they deliver benefits that are really hard to ignore. So I've done a lot of bike packing on full suspension bikes over the years, from, say, long distance trail riding to racing. One of the biggest advantages is how forgiving they are. Full suspension bikes are simply, well, more comfortable, I'd say, especially on really rough terrain, absorbing everything from, big hits to small trail chatter. They also make climbing through trails a lot easier. So most modern suspension designs really keep that rear wheel planted, improving traction and really allowing that rear tire to track better. So beyond comfort, however, full suspension adds a fun factor. Blasting through rock gardens, hitting small lips, and kind of navigating technical terrain and features feels certainly more confidence-inspiring. In many cases, especially with today's efficient XC downcountry and trail bikes like the Rascal here, they're actually more efficient than hardtails on single track or rough two track. So, of course, most bikepacking routes feature varied terrain, so there is a time and place for each type of bike. But if you really enjoy single track riding for day rides and plan on using that bike for bikepacking trips on similar terrain, a full suspension bike is definitely worth considering. So each frame manufacturer uses a specific pivot design for their full suspension bikes, which this kind of determines how the frame and suspension system are engineered to move and absorb impacts. So without diving too deep into the details here, this typically involves a main pivot point, an additional pivot point or two or three, a linkage system, and rear shock. So Revel chose the Canfield Balance Formula, or CBF, for their suspension platform. They provide plenty of detailed information about, the kinematics and why they believe it is the best suspension design on their website. But ultimately, the only way to evaluate it is to really put it through its paces. And that's what we did. So the standout characteristic I've noticed with the CBF is its incredible climbing performance. So the system isolates drivetrain forces from suspension. So that means really your pedaling energy once you crank down doesn't actually cause the suspension to compress or bob. So on steep technical sections of trail, this allows the rear wheel to maintain better traction and momentum, keeping you moving forward with less wasted effort. So this efficiency also translates super well to flatter terrain, where the bike just simply holds momentum better. And really, it puts the rider in a better position more times than not. So on descents, CBF delivers a smooth and controlled ride thanks in part to the Rascal's carefully tuned anti-rise curve. So this minimizes the effect of braking forces on the suspension, ensuring the suspension stays active when you actually need it most, helping the bike maintain traction and control on rough technical sections. Modern shocks also play a significant role here. So when paired with Revel's optimized boom. That coffee just kicked in. Wow. So when paired with Revel's optimized leverage ratio, which certainly balances small bump sensitivity, mid-stroke support, and end-stroke progression, the suspension feels refined and polished. So it soaks up everything from minor trail chatter to really big hits, offering a smooth and predictable ride across a wide range of terrain. Overall, with everything said so far, I keep coming back to the balanced nature of the bike on trail. Not only does it climb nearly as well, if not just as well as a downcountry mountain bike, but it also descends like a proper trail bike. So this is where the size and overall length of the bike really come into play. So by choosing the medium frame, I think I was able to transform the Rascal into what I'd consider a true downcountry bike. Sure, it comes with 130 millimeters of rear travel and 140 millimeters up front, but the Rascal handles both long, sustained climbs and short, punchy ones, well, really, really well. It's a climber. There's a certain responsiveness, or I'd say spunkiness about it when it comes to climbs that I've never experienced on a bike with 130 millimeters of rear travel. That's one of the reasons I felt really good about choosing the medium frame size. However, when I pointed it downhill, my feelings were a bit mixed. So riding solo at my own pace, I was perfectly happy with its capabilities. But then when I was kind of riding with some others who were pushing harder and ripping around without care in the world, I started to kind of feel a little bit more hesitant. I could notice that shorter front center a little bit on, say, the medium compared to something like the Reeb SST, about 10 millimeters less. And that had me questioning my choice of kind of medium versus large, wondering if I should have gone with that large frame. Then again, if I had sized up, I think I might have felt slightly disappointed in, well, the other side of the spectrum, particularly how well the medium climbs and kind of handles technical sections. Another option I could do is up it to 150 millimeter fork. Revel does mention it is compatible, and I had planned on doing that, but yeah, winter arrived and I didn't get around to it. By the way, it was negative 18 degrees in Gunnison this morning. Woo! That's just not even fun to be outside very long. No way. So we're inside, cozy, right? So all that said, the bike is still, without a doubt, one of the most capable full suspension bikes that really I've ever pedaled, from trailhead to trailhead. So up, flat, down, side, all of it. It's really good at everything. I really did find it to be extremely playful, easily roaming from one side of the trail to the other, bunny hopping with ease. But when I really needed it to hold a line, well, it would do so. Its versatility is incredible, covering such a wide range of terrain and riding styles that it truly does feel like one bike to rule them all. So I ended up taking the Rascal on a pretty epic, simple overnighter. I thought it would be simple. I was tackling a route from Crest Butte to Gunnison via a mix of trails that are, well, less than ideal for biking. It was something that I had on my list for a while now, and I'm glad I did it, but I'll probably give it a few years before attempting it again. So the ride was actually a mix of, well, massive downpours. That definitely didn't help. Cow manure, let's call it. Really rough terrain conditions and, well, a few magical moments. So the bike handled extremely well on climbs, no surprise there, and it managed the weight very well on descents and just in general, especially compared to the Pivot Mach 4 SL I tested earlier last year, which certainly had a noticeable flex when I loaded a lot of cargo on it. But the Rascal is, well, it's stout. At no point in the trip did I question its reliability while bike packing through some pretty harsh conditions. That all said, the bike isn't, well, ideal for carrying cargo. The shock placement runs directly through the frame, and, well, there's limited frame space in general with the sloping top tube. There are only a few mounting provisions, one set of bosses kind of on the inside of the down tube here, and then you've got two sets of bosses on the underneath side of the down tube. And if you're lucky enough to ride an extra large frame, you get two more bosses underneath the top tube here. So speaking of mud and poor conditions, I had the chance to test this a bit during the ride, obviously. And while it wasn't a huge issue overall, I did notice some clearance issues in the peanut butter mud, you know, the sticky desert mud that clings to everything. Yeah. When I tested the Revel Ranger last year, well, there were similar issues. When Revel claims 2.6-inch tire clearance, that really is the max, leaving little room for mud clearance. So all in all here, well, the Rascal isn't a dedicated bikepacking bike, but it's certainly one that could excel on rugged trails like the Colorado or Arizona Trail. It's efficient on path, roads, and rough single track, making connecting off-road routes, well, a blast. All right, so since I was able to build this bike up from scratch, I was able to kind of use a mix of new and used parts. So I had this GX transmission that I ended up reviewing in 2023. I had some SRAM code RSC brakes, which worked exceptionally well, pretty good stopping power. I also had a set of Industry 9 wheels that really kind of play matchy-matchy with the whole purple frame. And while I tried a few different tires on this bike, the Bontragar Gunnison tires really stood out. They performed so well this year that they ended up making my editor's dozen. And rounding out the build, I used a 180 millimeter Wolf Tooth Resolve dropper, a 50 millimeter stem. I think the stock stems are 40 millimeters, and 800 millimeter race face bars. So now talking about suspension, the frame came with this RockShox Super Deluxe Ultimate. You can upgrade to a Fox if you want, but I really didn't have very many issues or complaints with this. It did take a little bit of time to kind of dial in just right, but I almost always kept the shock open. You can lock it out, and it does a pretty good job, but just when you're on technical terrain, having it fully open is definitely going to aid in you keeping that rear wheel tracking that much better. I also experimented with a few forks on this bike, and one truly stood out, the Manitou Matic Pro, the one that's on there right now. So this fork impressed me with its highly tunable design in a relatively lightweight package. While the reverse arch may stand out visually, it's what's inside that really sets it apart. So the Dorado air spring system with infinite rate tune allows for a precise mid and end stroke tuning, improving small bump compliance and preventing bottom outs. So the MC2 damper provides high and low speed compression adjustments, rebound control, and hydraulic bottom out for, say, added resistance when things get a little bit more rowdy. Plus, it's lightweight, super easy to service and adjust from 110 to 150 millimeters of travel, making it incredibly versatile. And this fork seemed to absolutely love the Rascal. It's gonna be hard to take it off. All right, so all in all, this is a very solid build, and honestly, I probably wouldn't change a thing. I absolutely love building frames up like this, and if I had more time, I'd probably do it more often. The Revel Rascal. It's a special bike, a bike that checks a lot of boxes for mountain bikers. It performs extremely well while loaded, handles short, punchy terrain found in the high desert of Hartman Rocks here in Gunnison, and tackles, well, the moto trails out of Crested Butte South with confidence. That said, well, there were moments when I felt like I certainly could have used a little bit more bike, perhaps sizing up to that large frame or upgrading to a 150 millimeter fork would have addressed that. And while it's not perfect, the Rascal's range of capabilities make it one of the most versatile bikes in the trail category. So if you're deciding between, say, the Revel Ranger or really any downcountry bike for that matter and the Revel Rascal, I'd argue that you're not sacrificing much in terms of speed by going with the Rascal. Instead, really you're gaining a noticeable upgrade in just overall capability from climbing to descending. All right, so the Rascal is available in 5 different sizes from small to extra, extra large, and comes in 2 colors, Pinot Noir, this one, a deep dark purple, and Pony Boy, I'd say it's a mustard inspired colorway. So the frame set is priced at $3,000 USD with complete build starting at $4,500 USD. Of course, that is not cheap for, it's a high-end carbon bike, but I certainly found the cost worthwhile, especially since I was able to build the frame with parts I already had. So over the course of 2024, it certainly earned both my trust and love, solidifying its place as one of my favorites and one of the best climbing full suspension bikes with this much travel. So I want to hear from you. With these trail bikes pedaling so well these days, do we really need downcountry rigs, or are these the new downcountry rigs? Let me know in the comment section below. As always, thank you all so much for watching. And if you like what you saw in this video and want to see more like it, please hit that subscribe button and notification bell. And if you want to help support this YouTube channel, everything we're doing at BIKEPACKING.com, helping build our roots section, our detailed reviews, everything, you can do so by signing up for the Bikepacking Collective. The Collective not only helps support us, but also offers a lot of perks for you, including industry discounts, monthly giveaways, and the twice yearly Bikepacking Journal. So to join or just to learn a little bit more about the Collective, you can click on the card in the top right corner, or also follow the link in the description below. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, pedal further.